Hi everybody, how are you doing? It's 16th of July 2017. I'm on holiday here in northwest Turkey, just beside the Greek border. The weather's lovely, it's a bit windy, but we're catching some sun. And I sincerely hope that you've managed to rest up or are on holiday also. So I send greetings to all former students from around the world, all former teaching colleagues, friends, and family and relatives, and hope that you're all doing fine. It's some time since I posted on Let's Think About Damascus. In the past, I had posted two short videos giving information out on what seems to be a possible ET extraterrestrial intervention on, in the affairs of Earth over a long period of time. I did come under some pressure and I took those videos down. However, if I were to go more mainstream, I could also talk about some recent information that's come to me uh, through children's books. In fact, we were studying the pharaohs and the kings and the pyramids of ancient Egypt. Now, it came to my attention that most of the books, in fact, all of the books available for children, are wrong in their information, and I'm going to explain why. The three pyramids at Giza, that's the Giza and the Sphinx complex, are said to be 2,500 years built before the time of Christ. That's 2,500 BC. Uh, the largest one, Cheops or Khufu as it's also called, is a tremendous architectural work attributed to the ancient Egyptians. But there are some difficulties if we take this explanation as true, and I'll briefly explain the points. The points are one, the mathematical proportions of the Great Pyramid at Giza relate to the mathematical proportions of the planet Earth, that is, in circumference, density, etc. So the Great Pyramid at Cheops is actually a model of the planet Earth. And if you take the mass of that pyramid and multiply it by 10 to the power 8, you'll get the mass of the planet Earth. Furthermore, the Sphinx, that's the lady with the human head and the lion's body, is exactly aligned to the constellations. And I'll come on to this later. It's something to do with the Giza complex being a timepiece. But let me go back to the Giza pyramid itself. It's actually an eight-sided pyramid. If you fly over the Giza complex and look at the main pyramid, you'll see during the time of the spring and autumn equinoxes that the four pyramid sides are actually eight pyramid sides. This shows just very briefly, but it was spotted in 1921 by a British RAF pilot as he flew over the Giza complex and took some photographs. The stones of the pyramid itself are massive and perfectly made. They've been there for, as we know, for a tremendous period of time. The outer casing of the stones was limestone, and they were visible for hundreds of miles. The heavy stones are over 50 tons. That's an incredible weight. And I point to the contradictions. The ancient Egyptians used bronze tools, and um, they did not know how to use wheels. So we have to ask, How did they manage to cut and dress the stone and put them in position? How did they manage to raise the stones and transport the stones? All the explanations that are given are very weak because the precision and accuracy of the site is and the mathematics are too complex for a simple agricultural people to achieve. Now, I'd like to uh, talk about why I think the Giza pyramids are much older than 4,000 years. I believe they go back to the about 10 to 12,000 BC. And I think there are three possibilities. This complex was built by a human civilization that existed before our time that has been lost. The evidence of their existence is fragmentary. Or it's an ET civilization that came down to our planet and built the complex and other complexes and left. Or, which I think is the most plausible explanation, was an ET civilization that came down and through time intermarried with the local people. Now there is evidence for this, and it's there in plain sight. The ancient Egyptian pharaohs, you know, their sons would marry their sisters or half sisters, and I believe this was to keep the special royal blood line intact or strong at least. But I guess through time, this was their gene pool would weaken, and my theory is that they intermarried with the local people and passed on their knowledge of space, of mathematics, of geography and medicine to the local priesthood. The ancient Greeks from Athens, Sparta, and Corinth would visit Egypt to gain knowledge. In fact, ancient Egypt is really the great grandparent of Western civilization. We go there to gain knowledge, and we would be initiated into the mysteries at the temples down in Memphis and Thebes, and it would carry this back. So if we look at the Parthenon today, it contains the golden ratio. That golden ratio is related to the measurements of the pyramid. Now, what has all this got to do with Syria? Well, the Syrian war now has been going on for 6 years, and although it's winding down, I believe there's still going to be some difficulties there. And I, of course, send my greetings to the few friends I have there, and I hope they are recovering and will be in contact soon, I'm sure. But one of the things we can see if we look closely and we analyze this whole picture is that these ancient monuments and these amazing stonemason techniques were actually also found in other parts of the Middle East. If you go to Lebanon, to the Baalbek Valley, you'll find similar precision, almost look like machine cut stone blocks also lying around or half assembled. And I think that although the ancient ET race that came down, and I'm not sure if the ancient Egyptians was human, I think that today at this time there are other groups here, and I think there's a conflicting evidence that they are trying to get hold of some secrets, perhaps some buried ancient technology or recover ancient artifacts that they don't want to share with the general public. And so this might also explain the tremendous turmoil going on in the Middle East at the moment. As people become more aware, of course, they ask questions. They ask questions um, of the professors at university and those people giving out standard information that is not true. So, I would like to say at this point, to to go back to my original thesis. The planet Earth is an oasis on this side of the galaxy. We've been nurtured, we've been helped, we've also been thwarted, and at this time, I believe there are forces working against us. And with that, I wish you a good summer recess and hope you can follow up with some good research yourselves and contribute to the site if you can. Thank you very much.